Hello and welcome to the Thursday, March 19th edition of Titan TV News. I'm Steve Santucci.
And I'm Gina Blaskie.
We hope you had a wonderful spring break. We are hitting the ground running with the news, right back at you, getting you ready for what's to come in the couple last months of school. How was your spring break, Gina?
It was great. I had some time to relax and catch up on much needed sleep. But I heard you had a fun spring break.
I did. I went to the West Coast, Los Angeles. It was beautiful out there. And then I came back, and it was slightly less beautiful, but it was still nice. Anyways, let's get you caught up on what's going on this week.
On March 19th, from 2 to 6 p.m., the ISU and 2015 Career Fair will be held in the Bone Student Center. Students are encouraged to bring their resumes and plans for their careers to the fair. There will be professional and industry leaders attending for a variety of fields, and the full list can be found online through the IWU Career Center website.
Also on Thursday, independent film director, screenwriter, editor, actor, and author John Sayles' film Casa de los Babis is going to be shown in the Beckman Auditorium at 4 p.m. The film was described by Stephen Holden in the New York Times, 2003, as, quote, "This coolly observant movie follows 6 white American women, all but one over 30, who are impatiently waiting out their lengthy residency requirements in an unidentified South American country before picking up their adoptive babies at an orphanage. Despite its emotionally loaded theme, the film is a scrupulously suds-free examination of motherhood as it is viewed in first and third world countries. The closest it gets to misty-eyed is in its panoramic shots of wide-eyed Latino infants who will soon be transported from a nation mired in poverty to a land of plenty. Like every other movie by this writer and director, Casa de los Babis is rooted in Mr. Sayles' profound awareness of the degree to which the personal is political in everyone's lives and the ways in which money, class, and ethnicity shape our points of view. At his savviest, Mr. Sayles shows an exceptional talent for camouflaging his characters' functions as mouthpieces by giving them sharp, quirky dialogue," end quote.
Also at 4 p.m. in State Farm Hall's Room 102, the lecture entitled White Attitudes Towards Racial Preferences in College Admissions, Studies and Persuasion. The lecture is part of the Perspectives on Civil Rights and Race lecture series sponsored by the Political Science Department. This lecture will be presented by James Glazer, Professor of Political Science at Tufts University. These lectures are made possible through generous grants provided by the Betty Ritchie Burr and Ivan Burr Endowment Fund, the Division of Student Affairs, and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion.
The 3D series will be touching on the somewhat controversial social media discussion entitled #HereAtIWU, which touched on stories of discrimination and racism on IWU's campus during a talk at the Hanson Student Center at 7 p.m. The IWU Dance Marathon is coming to the Hanson Student Center on Saturday, March the 21st at 1 p.m. and will be running straight until Sunday, March the 22nd, until 1 a.m. You heard that right, 12 straight hours. The IWU Dance Marathon will raise money for the Children's Miracle Network while participants remain on their feet for 12 hours straight, dancing for those who can't. Since students first brought this event to campus 2 years ago, they have raised over $20,000 for the Children's Hospital of Illinois in Peoria.
A panel of professionals in the mathematics field will be coming to the Welcome Center Auditorium on March the 24th from 7 to 8 p.m. The panel will share insights about their professions and advice on how to make yourself a more competitive candidate. So, students studying mathematics or who are interested in pursuing a career in the field would do well to attend and bring questions for the panel. On Tuesday, March 24th at 7 p.m. in CNS room C101, nature photographer Tom Ulrich will present a photographic journey in the life of a wildlife photographer. This year's focus will include the birds of Ecuador, bird migration in Texas, and the spectacular wildlife and landscapes of Glacier National Park in Montana. He dazzles his audiences with amazing photographs, tips for photographers, and humorous narration. Ulrich's work has been featured in the National Geographic, National Wildlife, Time, Audubon, and many other publications. Admission is free for IWU students with their university ID card. It's sponsored by the John Wesley Powell Audubon, IWU Environmental Studies Program, and the IWU Biology Department.
The Divisions of Academic and Student Affairs are presenting the Academic Skills Series yet again in CNS Room E101 at noon on Wednesday, March the 25th. This series entry will focus on improving your presentations in class or at a more professional podium. And of course, free Papa John's pizza is provided for lunch. It's always a great incentive. John Sayles, as you recall from Previous announcement is back at it. He's twice been nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay for Passion Fish and Lone Star, along with numerous other award nominations and wins. He's written 4 novels, 2 short story collections, and a nonfiction book on the making of Manawan. On March 25th at 4 p.m., he'll be coming to the Beckman Auditorium to read from his book, A Moment in the Sun. A discussion with the author will come afterwards, so students interested in hearing an esteemed writer talk are encouraged to attend and bring questions. This event is sponsored by the Center for Human Rights and Social Justice.
And now over to Lisa, who interviewed Aaron Woodstein about his recently produced play, Turn That Thing Around.
Hey guys, it's Lisa Kazakikitsu, and I'm here with senior Aaron Woodstein, who is a theater design and technology major. So welcome, Aaron. And Aaron is the writer of the student-produced play, Turn That Thing Around, which premiered January 30th till February 1st. So Aaron, could you tell us about the production of the play, how you came about with the storyline and casting and figuring out how you wanted it to be?
Well, the way I explain this play to people normally is that it's a play about the worst days of my life. And theater in general is usually about the most extraordinary days of someone's life. Because why else would you go to see the theater?
Right.
And these days, the whole stream of events was sparked by watching a documentary on HIV and then wanting to get an HIV test.
Okay.
And the doctor's office wouldn't call me back to schedule an appointment, and as the events of the play progressed, it kept spiraling and spiraling until an underlying condition I had came forward. And the condition is called bipolar 1 disorder. It's actually pretty common. It's typified by cycles of mania, which are elevated states of sometimes heightened creativity. Some very famous people that were suspected to have bipolar disorder were Da Vinci and Van Gogh. So like Van Gogh had his depressive period where he cut off his ear.
Right.
And so but also extraordinary periods of creation. But sometimes they don't end up as safely as mine did.
Okay. And what about with casting? How did you go about picking the perfect people to portray the roles that you had in your mind?
We had an open audition. There were, I invited my roommate, Sean, to audition because I thought that he took an interest in the play during the staged readings, and I thought that he knew me pretty well, so it would be kind of interesting for him to play me. And after the audition, he was cast as myself.
Wow, okay.
And then we were having trouble finding a character for the second main character named Gabe. And so him and many of the people in the cast actually were in the cast because I went up to them and I said, hey, the person that we cast either dropped out or no longer wants to do it, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But there were a couple people that stuck from the beginning, like Kong Vu and Liesl Jacobson were both in the original auditioning cycle. But Blair Wright, Paxton Johnson, Avi Kritzman, and even Nolan Valdivia and Jorge Fuentes and Julie Jaudes all were asked personally to be in the play.
So this is like something that's so personal to you, and I actually was not aware of that before this. But what are your plans with the play for the future? Are you planning on using it again at other events, or what do you plan on?
Well, as of 2 days ago, the Chicago Fringe, and Fringe is a sect of theater that believes anyone can make theater if they put forth the effort. So they had a lottery system that we filed into. We were one number in 100, and they picked our number. So
wow.
The show is actually going to be professionally produced in Chicago.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And another question that I had was, what was your experience like? Because you were the writer and producer, and you acted in it as well, right?
Yeah, and I designed
And
everything.
you designed it. Okay, so what was that like doing all those things
It was
in one?
very hard. I don't ever want to be a one-man production team again because the production team, through what we've been taught, is a collaboration. So even though one person is the costume designer, one person is the set designer, one person is the lighting designer, they all talk about their ideas together and talk about how they work together instead of one person, because it was very hard trying to not have it just be only what I want, but what the cast needs and what the director also wanted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And could you explain to us what crowdfunding is and how you went about that process?
Well, crowdsourcing is what it's called.
Oh, okay, my bad.
But crowdsourcing is a relatively new thing. The best example I can give is, Kickstarter is probably the biggest of the sites. And Kickstarter is basically someone goes forth on the site and says, hey, I have this great idea, here's what it is. But I need this much money. But if you give me this much money, I'll give you maybe a signed card. Or if you give me $20, I'll give you a copy of and the best example is Cards Against Humanity. Cards Against Humanity was Kickstarted. So Cards Against Humanity said, if you give us $25, we'll give you the game. So you can have the game, we'll send you the PDFs, you can print it out, you can play. And if we get enough money to print it, you'll get a free game.
Okay.
And so thousands of people then picked that selection, and they were able to produce their game and sell it all across the nation. So for me, I said, hey, I want to produce a glass box that could be shattered every night because it's the central metaphor of the play.
Mm-hmm.
But it would cost like $4,300 plus the cost of the whiteboards for the manic narrator to write on, and the
that
costumes.
glow in the dark.
The glow in the dark. That actually, I was inspired. I went to Mugsy's, and I was sitting there and I was looking at the boards with the specials, and they were glowing and changing colors. And I thought back to my lighting design class, and I used the principle of like color addition, in that a color you cannot see a color if there aren't light colors from the light source.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have something that's blue and you light it with red light, it'll look black. So I use that to make the small boards fit 69 titles, I think.
That's so cool. So you use your personal experiences to come up with the ideas of the play, and then just like your everyday life experiences to help with the production of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so could you tell us, like, just in a summary, what this play really means to you and the people that you were trying to reach through the production of this play?
Well, the biggest message of the play is not about it. It is about HIV and the fact that it's still prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
It is about bisexuality because two of the characters are bisexual, but it's not about. It just happens to be that those are what sparked it. But the most important thing I want people to take away from is that the signs I was exhibiting, if I would have bumped into someone who knew what bipolar disorder was,
Mm-hmm.
it could have stopped before it got out of control, before I hadn't slept in 4 days and hadn't eaten in who knows how long. And if everyone knew the warning signs, so many people would have a better quality of life.
Okay.
Because this disorder is, the longer you are in the manic state and in number of times and just quantified amount of time, the worse the depressive episodes in between.
Okay, so you actually took it from like spreading awareness, and that's great. So good luck to you and everything, all of your endeavors in the future. And thank you so much for your time with us here at Titan TV. And you guys should definitely check out this play. You can view it online or click on the link in the description. Thank you so much. Bye.
And on to more global news now. For the last several days, Iraqi forces and Shia militias have been fighting ISIS in the Iraqi city of Tikrit. Fighting has intensified in the north and south of the city as ISIS has struggled to hold on to former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein's hometown. It was recently learned that during the fighting, Saddam's tomb in the city had been completely destroyed by ISIS forces. This comes at a time when ISIS has been destroying landmarks and ancient ruins all throughout Iraq.
The United States has shut down its 3 embassies throughout Saudi Arabia over security fears. The U.S. has said it believes that Western oil workers in the country are being targeted by a local militia in the country. The State Department has issued warnings for all Westerners in Saudi Arabia to lay low and take extra precautions when traveling.
For the first time in domestic news now, 2 gay groups were allowed to march in the Boston St. Patrick's Day Parade. Up until now, the parade organizers, the South Boston Allied Ward Veterans Council, had banned gay groups from participating in the march, and their anti-gay ban was upheld by the Supreme Court in 1995. However, this year, the council came under new leadership and reversed its decision to ban gay groups. One of the gay groups' leaders said that this was, quote, "one of the greatest days of my life," end quote. Oh, hello there. I'm guessing you've been dying to hear about sports on Wesleyan's campus since it's been a couple weeks without it. Well, here is your fix. Let's get to sports. What's happened over the break? The Illinois Wesleyan men's basketball team lost, unfortunately, 70-53 in the second round against number 8 Wisconsin Stevens Point on Saturday. That's in the NCAA championship tournament. The Titans finished with a 20-9 record, the 6th straight 20-win season for the program. So congratulations overall on that wonderful season. Also, men's lacrosse lost to Adrian College last Saturday 10-13, but they'll take on Olivet College in Michigan this Saturday at 2 p.m. And finally, IWU's women's track team finished 3rd in the 2015 NCAA Division III men and women's indoor track and field championships, which was held this past weekend in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Congratulations, IWU women's track and field, and to all of the teams who are finishing and the teams who are starting up, we wish you good luck.
And that's all the time we have for this week's edition of Titan TV News. I'm Gina Blaskie.
And I'm Steve Santucci.
Go get 'em, Titans!